When it comes to vampires, most of us are likely to think of the image of Dracula, the legendary vampire sleeping in a coffin in a haunted castle. As an immortal creature who drinks the blood of humans and animals, capable of transforming into a bat and other special powers. The idea that a dead person can be resurrected and can only survive by drinking blood from a scientific perspective is entirely laughable. However, in this world, there are indeed people, individuals who at least exhibit some characteristics of vampires as we know them in movies. They drink human blood and operate entirely in darkness, shunning sunlight. Hello again, it's me, and today I'll tell you about a case that occurred in 1932 in Sweden with extremely bizarre and strange details, making people think that it could have been caused by a real vampire. Known as the Atlas vampire, this blood-sucking murderer has never been found and held accountable for the crimes he committed. This case is one of the most mysterious and terrifying of the 20th century. After her divorce, Lili Lindestrom decided to start over from scratch. She divorced and moved to Stockholm, Sweden. She began working as a street prostitute in the Atlas district and found a new place to live in an apartment building with her friend Minnie. Prostitution was illegal in Sweden at the time, so Lili's clients would all be brought back to her apartment. At Eriksplan 11, Minnie lived on the ground floor, was the last who saw Lili alive. On April 30th, 1932, the night of Walpurgis Night, or also known as the Night of Witches, Minnie went to visit Lili in her room. The two girls chatted and discussed what they would wear to the evening party, planning to leave at 9 p.m. Then the telephone rang, a male voice asked for a prostitute. At first, Lili found it strange because she didn't recognize the voice of the man. Usually strangers wouldn't know her number, but both Minnie and Lili agreed that the voice sounded like that of a gentleman, and Lili agreed to meet the man. The unfamiliar man was near Lili's house and immediately came over. Minnie then bid farewell to her friend and went down to her own apartment on the ground floor. That evening, Lili came down to meet Minnie twice at her apartment. Just a few minutes after Lili's client arrived, she went down to Minnie's room to borrow some condoms. The first time Minnie mentioned that Lili still looked cheerful and full of energy, and even the second time when the man's suggestion Lili down to get more condoms, Lili's face still showed a normal smile. So Minnie had no suspicions, and was still looking forward to going to the party with Lili, but unfortunately, Lili was no longer alive by then. That night when Minnie knocked on Lili's door at 9 p.m., there was no response. At that time, Minnie didn't suspect anything. She just thought that maybe Lili had gone out to hang out with her previous client and forgotten about this party. On the morning of May 1st, Lili still didn't respond to Minnie's knocks. Until May 4th, after still not receiving any response from Lili, Minnie decided to report to the police. The police arrived at the scene shortly after, and when Minnie opened Lili's room, they found her body. The crime scene was entirely clean, except for a few details. At this point, the police began to understand that this was not an easy case. Unfortunately, Lili had been dead for some time. After examination and investigation, this case likely occurred on the night of April 30th or the following morning. The victim's body was found lying face down on the neatly made bed, naked, with Lili's clothes neatly folded and placed on the chair beside the bed. The pillows were stacked on top of Lili's body, and the entire apartment was very clean and nothing was missing. The only clues left behind were a spoon and a towel, both covered in blood. The forensic examiners believed that Lili had intercourse with the murderer just before her death, as a condom was found inside her and his saliva was also found on Lili's neck. She was likely killed while both were engaged in intercourse, and while Lili wasn't looking behind her, she was struck on the head multiple times with a blunt object, leading to her death. The murder weapon could not be found at the scene. The bloodied spoon was suspected, but it was too lightweight to be used as a murder weapon. Some other blood stains were found on kitchen utensils, suggesting that the spoon may have been used for another purpose. No trace of blood was found in Lili's body. It had been drained by the murderer. The police speculated that the perpetrator might have been drinking her blood and using the spoon to scoop it into a container, which was then taken away, along with a blood-stained towel. The police said it looked like someone had used the towel to wipe away their bloody mouth. The case immediately captured the attention of the media, who referred to the killer as the Atlas vampire, with Bella's Dracula film released in 1931, about a year before the incident. People fully believed that vampires were real, and Sweden at the time was closely following the progress of the investigation in hopes of witnessing the blood-drinking killer, but that never happened. The murderer was never found. Upon searching Lili Lindestrom's home, they discovered many different fingerprints, mostly belonging to Lili's previous clients, all of whom were questioned by investigators, but nothing suspicious or a motive for committing this heinous crime was found. About 7 men were extensively questioned, and in the end, when nothing suspicious was found, all 7 were released. The murderer seemingly carried the weapon when fleeing the scene and made sure not to leave any fingerprints behind, as he clearly cleaned up before leaving Lili's house. The case was officially closed in 1957, and detectives involved still couldn't understand why the perpetrator was so concerned about cleaning up the crime scene, yet the only thing disturbed was Lili's body, placed neatly on the bed. Nowadays, if a similar case were to occur, it might be solved more quickly with the technology available to trace someone through their saliva and semen. Unfortunately, such technology wasn't available back then, and no one saw the last customer Lili brought into her home, so the police hit a dead end. Lili was buried on May 16, 1932 in her hometown, and the perpetrator was never found. One detail that caught the attention of the detectives was the condom found inside Lili. Based on her death position, they believed Lili died from being struck in the neck while engaged in sexual activity. Perhaps the murderer used the donkey punch technique to enhance his pleasure, meaning he killed Lili out of desire and his own sexual perversion. Another indication of the killer's character is how clean he left Lili's apartment after the murder. Despite hitting Lili in the head multiple times, he left very few bloodstains and neatly folded her clothes. Could the Atlas vampire be a cleanliness obsessive? One of the most popular theories regarding the Atlas vampire case is that a police officer killed Lili. The theoretical basis behind this hypothesis stems from the fact that the murderer clearly intentionally left as few clues as possible. Because he meticulously cleaned the apartment, why leave a spoon and a blood-stained cloth? Alternatively, it's possible that this police officer murderer attempted to cheat off his colleagues by deliberately leaving a bizarre crime scene, but in reality, it was filled with evidence left by the perpetrator. The murderer's saliva was found on her body, his semen in the condom, and his fingerprints on the spoon. Of course, in 1932, there was no such thing as DNA testing. Stockholm detectives back then didn't even know what DNA was. During that time, most murder cases were solved through confessions. The most extreme answer to the Atlas vampire case is the idea that Lili's killer was a real-life vampire. The vampire angle arises from 2 aspects of the case. First, the supernatural ability of the murderer helped him evade police custody, and second, there's evidence that the killer drank Lili's blood. Some officers claim the spoon contained Lili's blood, but there's no convincing evidence that the killer drank blood from the spoon. However, one fact remains: the crime scene had so little blood from Lili, it's almost unbelievable. If not a vampire, could the killer have come to her apartment equipped with tools like syringes and some sort of suction device to extract Lili's blood? We know that the police interviewed both Lili Lindestrom's previous clients in hopes of cracking the case or even just finding a fragile lead, but nothing proved successful, leaving the case unsolved and investigators perplexed. From what they knew, no other crimes like this were committed afterward, so they couldn't link Lili's death to any other open cases. Was she killed by one of her regular clients? By a stranger she'd get acquainted on the street? Or was she a victim of a real-life vampire? These questions continue to puzzle the Stockholm police and media. To this day, the case remains unresolved, with little hope that the identity of Lili Lindestrom's killer will be revealed. Despite the presence of DNA evidence left at the crime scene, Lili's murder would likely have been swiftly brought to justice if the technology we have today existed in 1932. But with too few tools to work with at the time, the Stockholm police had to push the Atlas vampire case aside while other cases remained unsolved. Or perhaps the answer has always been right in front of us: that Lili Lindestrom was indeed killed and drained of blood by a real vampire. And this is Creep Factor. Thank you for taking the time to watch the entire video. And if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more interesting contents.